video, we are going to be designing templates to update or revamp or build your Acuity scheduling site. So what you see me doing here, I just went into photos and I searched for pink candy because I wanted to use that pink candy as inspiration and get a color palette from that pink piece of candy. So I put that on one page and I'm going to be using those colors going forward. So what you're seeing me do now is just select a script font to use. In my designs, I normally like to keep my fonts limited to 2 to 3. So I normally like one script, one kind of maybe like bolder or a font that I use for like my headings. And then I like to use like a font that I might use for like the filler text. You don't want big bold text for like everything. So then I use like a more streamlined, what's called a sans serif font, or more of a corporate type font for like my filler text, and you'll see that later. So what you just saw me do, I went into a folder, I grabbed a photo. This particular photo is a part of a photo package. It is something that I purchased. It was a bundle of pictures, being that I create so much content, and a lot of my clients don't always have their own pictures, so we need pictures for their websites and for their flyers and stuff. So if you're interested in buying it, it's a shop on Etsy that sells these photos. Just search for hair stock photo and you'll see these options come up. So what I'm doing now is just kind of, I went into elements, I clicked on shapes, and I just grabbed a square and resized it. And I'm basically just giving a space to add like a slogan or a catchphrase here. I noticed that a lot of my clients have catchphrases, something to catch people's attention, or they like to say, welcome to this, that, and the other. The other thing you're going to notice about this design is that I'm not designing it with any specific industry or person in mind. This can be edited for any industry. So whether you are a hairstylist, you make wigs, you do nails, you are a lash tech, you are an esthetician, it does not matter. This design, it doesn't matter. You just change the text and then boom, because I'm not adding any symbols in here that have anything to do with any specific industry. So what you're also seeing me do here is I've decided to pair a metallic gold with this pink palette. So it's going to be like a pink and gold palette. So what I did is I wanted to do something that you guys could duplicate. So I went in and I searched and I filtered for free photos, right? So that way Canva would only show me the stuff that was available for free and not the stuff that was available for pro users. I wanted to show you guys that you can create something great with Canva free and you don't have to use pro. The only thing I did in this design that is a pro option is take the background off of that photo. So you can accomplish that with Canva Pro, which I suggested because it's a great tool and there's so many great options in Canva Pro. But if you don't, you can always use a secondary app or different app, remove the background, and then bring your pictures into Canva. Okay, so what you're seeing me do is like I just duplicated the top bar and brought it down to the bottom. To me, I just like to keep balance. And the one thing you're going to see me do often in this is I'm going to make a copy of the work I've already done. So you see how I just copied that text. All I did was click on it, I hit Control C, and I hit Control V to copy it. That way all I have to do is go in and edit the text, but I don't need to change the font, I don't need to change the color or any of that. I already have it kind of formatted the way that I want, and now all I'm doing is having to resize it to fit the space, right? So now I'm just kind of playing around with the colors to see exactly what color I want to use. And I decided to use the deepest pink out of that color palette from the candy. So that is the first banner. So now what we're going to do is start working on our policy pages. And so now I'm just deciding what color I want the policy page to be. And then you're going to see me go into elements again, and I grabbed a square, and I have decided that I only want 2 spaces for policies per page in this design. What I've noticed working with a lot of clients is that they have very lengthy policies. They're very specific. They have rules about their deposits and bringing hair in and all of this kind of stuff. So in this particular design, I wanted to give a lot of space per page for people to put their information in. So I've decided I'm just going to do 2. Now you see me going back into elements and into shapes just to determine like how I'm going to label each one of these sections. And I've decided for this design, so that I can keep it neutral, I'm going to number each box. So each policy is going to be numbered, as opposed to using a symbol like a hair symbol or a $ for deposits or a credit card for payment information. I'm just going to number them to keep it very neutral, so that if anybody likes this color palette, they can use this design. So I'm just playing around right now with the symbols that I want to use to place my numbers in. And you're seeing just what I'm doing. I'm just playing around with it, changing the positioning, determine where I want things to sit. So I duplicate, you're going to see me duplicate this box again. I'm going to change it white, made it larger, and I'm going to position it to the back. All right, so now I've created this shape. Now what you're going to see me do is select everything. I just drag my cursor over all of the blocks or all the shapes I wanted to use, and I copied it and pasted it. That way I didn't have to do that work all over again. I can just duplicate the work I already did. Then I duplicated the page, and now I'm going to inverse it and do like the opposite of what I did on the first page. I'm going to do the opposite on the second page from a color perspective. Right? So it looks the same, but it's a little bit different. All right, so that's page 2. And then what you're going to see me do now is I'm going to add some text in here. I'm going to start labeling or numbering each one of these policy blocks. So I changed that to the wide font, change the color, and I'm playing around with the color just to see which one is going to work. If I want to use a different pink, I'm going to end up using the same exact lighter pink that I have in the blocks. So that's what you're seeing me doing. And I'm going to put the font in here, or the number 2 in here, and you're going to see the number 2 is way too big for that space, so I'm going to resize it. So I'm going to bring that font size down on both of them to keep them the same. So there we go. All right. And I want to center them. Cool. And I'm going to do the same thing. Copy, paste, change the font color so you can see it. Label it number 3. Copy, paste, drag that over. Label it number 4. So you're going to see me, this is how I work. I try to work as smart as I can and not spend a whole bunch of time doing stuff. So at this point, I'm like, okay, I like the layout, but how do I bring this gold back into place? So I'm grabbing that same gold that I used on the first banner, and I'm figuring out where I want it to be on each page. So I'm decided to put a little bit of that gold at the top and the bottom, change the position, put it to the back. Cool. Now I'm going to bring that gold in on this page. And this time I want to bring it to the sides, to the left and the right side, right? And you see me here like just dragging that over, making it the same. And I was like, what am I doing? Let me just duplicate it and drag it over. That way I know for sure that they're the same exact width. Okay, cool. So we got 4 policies. At this point, I believe I decided that I was going to go ahead and fill the policies in. So you're going to see me say, I'm not about to sit up here and type policy. So I'm going to go open up another design, and I'm going to start copying and pasting the policies from this other design. That's what you're seeing me do now. I'm opening up this design here. I'm going to copy that text, and I'm going to come over and paste it in here. If you are a designer watching this, work smart, sis. Please don't sit up here and be doing all this stuff from scratch every single time. Use the work that you've already done to your advantage. If you are someone who has an Acuity site already and you are revamping, copy and paste from your existing Acuity site instead of sitting up there and typing all that stuff over again. All right. So we have the policies here, and again, I'm just going in here, grabbing that text, pasting it into place, grabbing the text and pasting it into place. No need to reinvent the wheel. The other thing that I will say is to keep in mind the size of your font, because people are going to be reading this from their cell phone, so you don't want to pick a font that's too small and they're not able to read your policies, because these are pictures. So let's say somebody is visually impaired, they're not going to be able, like, their phone will not automatically adjust this font because it's not part of the application. It's a picture, so you want to make sure it's big enough for people to be able to see, which is why I've limited the space to 4 instead of trying to put a bunch of policies on one page. I'm doing 2 policies per page. And then what you're seeing me do here is I just duplicated the first page and created 5 and 6 policies instead of just 4. So now what I'm doing here, I duplicated the uh, 4th page, and now I'm about to create a space for business hours and location information. So that's what I'm doing now. You're seeing me create a box for business hours. So I'm going to come copy that from that other template and I'm going to paste it in here. And you see what I'm about to do now is I'm going to make the text all caps. So go over and select that all caps option. That way everything can be uppercase. I would suggest doing this over typing everything in cap locks, because if you change your mind later and decide you don't want it in caps, now you have to retype everything because you typed everything in cap lock instead of just using that option. So now I'm looking for a symbol to represent like time. So I literally just go in, I type in time, and I find that symbol, which is free, and I want to resize it to like make it work for this design. So I like that. And then I'm going to label it. So I'm going to label this business hours. And I really should have just grabbed that font from somewhere else on the design, but I didn't. So I decided to place business hours here, make it a little bit larger so it's clear what is being displayed here. And so the next thing I'm going to do is add the location information. So I'm going to go back into elements. I'm going to search for location, and I want just a static, and I want free symbols. So that's what I just filtered for. I found this symbol. I thought that was cute. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to change the colors to work the way or the best that I feel like it will. So there we go. So now I'm just repositioning this and just seeing where I want it to sit on the page. I'm going to copy this text block and just type in information about the location. And this is something interesting. I didn't know that some stylists do not provide you the location of where they're at until 24 hours before your service. I thought that was interesting. Me personally, if I'm getting a service, I want to know where I'm going, because I may not book with you depending on where you're at. You know what I mean? Especially you're in a big city. But that's something different. And I've had several clients who they don't provide their location on their site. Or if you know, they'll tell people like, if you want to know the location in advance, just please text and I'll provide that. And that protects them as well, because you don't want everybody knowing where you're at. So just putting that location in, I'm just playing around with how things are positioned and making sure I like where things are placed. And I'm kind of resizing it because I feel like it's filling up too much of the space. And what you're going to see me do here is try to figure out where I'm going to incorporate that gold in this design, because I just want to make sure that everything is just like fluid and balanced, and I'm keeping the theme, you know, on each page. So I'm adding those touches of gold in different places here. And you're just going to see me duplicate this gold box, Control C and then Control V, or Command C and Command V on a Windows computer. and you're going to see me select everything and then just resize it again and drag it to position it the way I want it. And I think I'm happy with this at this point. And now we're going to create the final page, which is going to basically just say, hey, um, if you have any questions, you know, I'm here, I'm available. And the reason why we're doing this is, if you think about it, if the customer has just read all of your policies, they see your location, they see your hours, they might have questions and they want to know how they can contact you. So if the very next thing that they read after that saying, oh, dang, I got a question, here is how you provide them that information. So that's why I put that at that place, because it just makes sense that after they've read all of your policies and things like that and your hours and stuff, that they may have a question and might want to know how to get in contact with you. So that's what I'm doing here. And I've decided, like, okay, what am I going to add now? I just grabbed that font and type thank you, because the pleasantries go a long way. I don't know about you guys, but I live for customer service. I love the pleasantries, and little things like this make a difference with me, and it does determine whether or not I will book a service or purchase a product from somebody. Just again, copying that work there, and I'm going to change the text to just say choose your services below. Okay, and then I think I'm going to go, right now I'm playing around with the effects on that text, because I didn't know if I wanted to do some sort of splice or outline effect or something like that on this text. But ultimately, I decided to keep this simple. In the last 6 to 7 months or so, my design style has changed quite a bit to just being a little bit more clean, a little bit more streamlined, and a lot more classic in the way that I design. I'm approaching this as a whole, like, less is more thing, and I'm saying no to glitter in 2022. I'm not putting glitter. I'm going to do my best to stay away from glitter in my designs. I know my clientele loves glitter, but I'm trying to move us forward and move us out of glitter, because I find that a lot of people, although it's good for my business because people are always coming back because they want to revamp, but if you find yourself wanting to revamp your brand like all the time, it, you know what I'm saying, like, I would give it pause and really think about something that's going to have lasting power. Will that design last you for 2 or 3 years because it's classic, right? You don't see big brands having to rebrand all the time. Large brands go through a rebrand maybe every, 7 to 10 years. They will keep the same design. You won't see big sweeping changes to a brand. So if you're constantly rebranding, I would pause and kind of determine really what direction you want to go, and if you think what you have going on is going to stand the test of time. So anyway, what I'm doing now is just kind of playing around with, you're going to start seeing me change the colors. Right now I'm picking a photo that I think will fit here in this space. I decided to use one that was like more of a landscape because of the space that was available. And again, this background remover is a Canva Pro feature. If you want to use Canva Pro, there's going to be a link down in my description where Canva Pro is free for 30 days. So if you wanted to design something like this and use that option for the 30 days and then cancel, feel free. But honestly, Canva Pro is the bomb.com. I use it for everything. I use it to schedule my posts to my Instagram. I use it to create my content for my Instagram. I use Canva for my business, obviously. Like, there's so much. I've created my Linktree page for my Instagram with Canva. Like, I create my email list, my newsletters, and all of that with Canva. Like, Canva is bae, and Canva can do so much, and Canva is constantly evolving to give us more features. So what you're seeing me do here is this determining that I want this bottom page, this last page, to match the same exact color palette and layout as the top page. So it's going to have the same black and gold like that first page is going to be at the bottom. The only thing that's going to be different is what the text says, but the page is going to be exactly the same. So that's what you see. This is the final design here that I came up with. Again, it's neutral and can be used for any industry. So hopefully you guys have liked this. Again, if you are interested in this design, check me out at theboutiquebae.store. Bye, y'all.